Hello everybody, it's me Albatross. I hope everyone is doing well. Just to let you know right off the bat, we're going to be talking about something very dark. It's a real, true story that's happened, that it's continuing to unfold even to this day. And it's really horrific, so I just wanted to warn you all right up front. If you're a child, I wouldn't recommend you watching this video. This is just for adults. It's something I want to talk about a while. About, like, I don't know how many years ago, I think 2017, 2016, one of those years, they actually confirmed in Tuam, Ireland, I think I'm pronouncing it, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Tuam, in Tuam, Ireland, that they found the remains of get my words mixed up already, the remains of almost 800 babies, and they expect that there's even more than that. Possibly thousands. And they're, in fact, this last summer, they're still excavating, and they think they found even more, like a whole nother mass grave of babies, and who were not buried with any kind of respect or decency. There's a whole bunch of them that were found in an unused septic, just put there, and it's dark. Like I said, this is dark. And this was all courtesy of the Catholic Church. I understand that there's been this revival happening recently, especially like in the Catholic Church and whatnot. And I can't help but feel the need to remind everyone that this is just one thing that they've done. You know what I mean? Out of many, 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 many crimes against humanity all throughout history. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find another institution alive and well today that has as much blood on its hands as the Catholic Church does. And, you know, far be it from me to suggest that these babies died from any intentional means, if I'm wording it right. That's not what I'm saying. To be honest, just the way you buried these babies is enough. It's enough. And how you buried the babies, like whether they were born from better families or they were born from poor, lower social economical families, it would all depend on that, on the, you know, what respect these babies were given in their burials. See, I'm just going to twist it all up and mumble my words. So this is why I got, you know, AI is good for a couple things. And AI has helped me with this topic because it's not exactly easy to find, like, the full details on what we know so far, or what they know so far. Oh, that's just a little model replica of the Tuam, you know, I don't even know what it's called. If it's the Tuam Home for Infants and Unwed Mothers, or what it was called exactly. But it was in Tuam, Ireland. And this is like a replica of it. Okay. So, here's what ChatGPT has to say. The number commonly cited is 796 babies and young children who died. Okay, here's the name. The Bon Secours Mother and Baby Home. I hope I pronounced that right. In Tuam between 1925 and 1961. And who have no known burial records. And it kind of makes me suspicious. Because if these babies did die from, say, like malnutrition or disease or whatever, why wouldn't there be any kind of record? Like none. Like, I think they found maybe like one burial record of one of these babies out of almost 800. Like, so I don't know, you know, it's just a little red flag in my opinion. And there are believed to be around 800 remains in a mass unmarked grave, including a disused septic tank at the site. And this wasn't like they weren't like original. Like, this wasn't the only place that did this, because back then there was a huge stigma about unmarried mothers, and it was before the era of birth control and things like that. So they weren't like original or unique in any way. This was going on all throughout Europe, and if I had to guess, probably even the US. All right, and the remains at Tuam were first confirmed in test excavations carried out in late 2016 and early 2017. So there have been stories and rumblings about all this for years, but they just confirmed it. Well, not just confirmed it. It's been about 10 years now when they confirmed it. But here, we got a little timeline of all the events going on with all this. Okay. So in the 1970s, and remember, the whole place was closed in 61. In the 1970s, local children reportedly found bones in a hidden underground chamber near the site. And then we've got like a whole gap for 40 years until we hear anything else. You would think that back in the 70s, finding bones, like human bones, like they didn't think it was worth exploring more, or where it was so soon after it all, they were afraid people would get in trouble. I don't know. Maybe they already knew. Kind of feel like more people would have to know. I mean, I don't know. Like, unless like no one ever came to check on these babies again, which unfortunately is possible. Anyways, let me continue. Okay, 2012. Catherine Corliss published research showing there were at least 796 deaths. I guess that's where they got the number from. At the home, but essentially no records of burials. 4 years later, October 2016, the Mother and Baby Homes Commission began test excavations. And then, 2017, in March, the commission announced that it had found significant quantities of human remains in underground chambers at the former Tuam home. Significant quantities. And, anyone from Ireland that could possibly be listening, could you let me know if this is something that's well known there in Ireland? I'm just curious, because I know that the media here in America, always, avoids talking about these types of things. And I'm just curious what it's like in other places, if it's the same way. Anyway. All right, the investigation timeline. All right. The local historian, Catherine Corliss, first compiled death records showing 796 babies and young children had died at the Tuam Mother and Baby Home between 1925 and 1961, but only one of them actually had a burial record. And then she published her findings in The Home in 2014, and that drew public attention. Why does it always got to be public attention? You know what I mean? To be honest, they should have discovered this in the 70s when the kids first found bones. Why does it take the general public at large to demand answers for them to do anything? Why? It's crazy. All right. The government response and establishment of commission. In response to these revelations, the Irish government set up a commission of investigation into the mother and baby homes around 2015. The commission was tasked with looking into the deaths, conditions, and records relating to these institutions, including Tuam. So like I said, because they're not unique. This was going on a lot. And then between November 2016, February 2017, the test excavations ordered by this commission uncovered human remains in an underground structure that appears to be a former sewage or drainage facility divided into chambers. Some remains were aged between 35 fetal weeks, oh my God, and 2 to 3 years old. What the? So, okay, let me think. What's 35 fetal weeks? I'm assuming that would be like premature born babies. I don't know. Someone let me know what that means, but it's unsettling. Wow. Confirming that they dated from the home's years of operation. What heartless person would just... Because think about it, these nuns or whatever, the Catholic Church, they watched these kids, they cared for these kids, they knew these kids. They knew these kids. These weren't just detached associates. They cared for these kids, and they just tossed them in there? What evil does that? And these poor women, because, they really had no choice. It was desperation. Like, I mean, because the way the church saw it as is people ought to control themselves and things like that and not do that. That's, I guess, the way the church saw it. But what about the women who like got raped and stuff, which happened a lot? A lot. Like, it's just so sad. It's just so freaking sad. Okay, the Commission's reports, published over subsequent years, confirmed systematic problems, including lack of burial records, high infant mortality in these homes, and pointed to the need for more careful forensic recovery. So then legislative progress took time, but in 2022, the Institutional Burials Act was passed to provide a legal framework for recovering, identifying, and reburial of remains from, quote, institutional burial sites like Tuam. Institutional, huh? What institutions are we referring to? I mean, I guess they kind of have to be vague because there are more institutions than just the Catholic Church. I'm just saying, it's just, you know, I just love how they always just love to, they always avert responsibility in one way or the other, you know? It's frustrating. So it's taken a couple years, but as of like this past summer in July or June, mid-July, they started this excavation process of these remains in Tuam. Because they're going to do their best. I mean, I don't know what they could do at this point. They're also decomposed, but, you know, it's, I could just feel I'm making a prediction that all the forensic work, they're going to come out and say, well, we can't determine, you know, the causes of death, you know, so it could have been of natural causes, which true, it could have been. But I don't know. It's just the way they're buried. It just tells me that these nuns had like no emotional attachment to these children. Not really. Okay. The extent of what the Catholic Church knew and when is still somewhat murky. But from public records, statements, and investigations, certain things are clear. The home was run by the Bon Secours Sisters, a Catholic order of nuns, operating St. Mary's Mother and Baby Home. So, run by this certain group of sisters. There is no evidence that the Archdiocese of Tuam had direct involvement in operating the home. In fact, when questioned, the then Archbishop Michael Neary stated that the diocese did not have operational involvement and did not hold relevant records. Huh. I don't believe that, but okay. As controlling as these people can be, I don't believe that for a second. They got updated. Sure they did. Just a convenient excuse. Okay, the sisters have, in recent years, acknowledged failings. For example, in 2021, they issued an apology. Why did it take 60 years to apologize? Saying, we did not live up to our Christianity when running the home. No, you didn't. Recognizing that infants and children who died at the home were buried in a disrespectful and unacceptable way. Yeah, it took you like 60 years to acknowledge and admit that. All this time, you could have had the conscience to say, you know what? No, this was wrong. We need to change it. No, it took all of this. So I don't believe your apology. I think it's bullshit. You should have just said nothing. Archbishop Eamon Martin also acknowledged the church's role in fostering a culture which stigmatized unmarried mother and their children, and offered regret and apology for the emotional hurt caused. Yeah, we're beyond that point now. We're way past that point. On record, the church, through the sisters and statements by church leaders, has said that many relevant records originally held by the Bon Secours sisters had been transferred to Galway County Council and other civic authorities after the home closed in 1961. Oh, okay, so I see. You're just going to blame the local authorities. Toss all the blame on them. Okay. Saying, oh, well, they had our records. They knew. They had our records this whole time. Okay. Regarding knowledge of the site of the remains, there were local stories and rumors going back for decades. For example, in the 70s, boys reportedly uncovered small bones when playing in the fields near the site. But it seems there was no formal church investigation or admission in those early years of what was happening. But now they want to apologize. Like, oops. Whether the church leadership had full awareness of exactly where and how the infants were buried, especially the use of the underground sewage structure, is not fully confirmed. What documentation the church does or does not have remains partially unclear. Well, why does it remain unclear? Why? Many records seems lost, transferred, or never kept. Convenient. Legal liability, moral responsibility, exact knowledge, timeline, who knew what and when, are all subjects of ongoing inquiry. You know, I'm sick of this excuse. I'm sick of it. You know, of people using this cloak of religion and organized religion to just, like, say, like, to get away with stuff like this. Like, no, it's getting ridiculous. You know, ChatGPT did okay, but the only thing that irks me is that it left out the fact that there are survivors of the Tuam mother-baby home. It left all that out in their testimonies. The fact that they were there this last summer watching the excavations take place, because some of those babies were like their siblings and whatnot. So, it's time to stop. Stop just listening to, like, these assholes who are just saying, oh, well, we don't know. We didn't keep records, or we're sorry, or, well, things like that. When we've got real survivors out there that are being ignored. Does anyone notice that? Like, out of the whole situation, they should be the most reliable, but they're the ones who are the last ones that people listen to. And like I said, it's because everyone who's a survivor's got to be perfect. They can't be too mentally unstable, but yet they can't be too mentally stable. You know what I mean? It's like people got this perfect idea of what a victim or a survivor should act like. And you all know what I'm saying. We watched it happen. Especially with the P. Diddy trial. Well, it's no different here. They're not going to listen to survivors and whatnot. They're going to, call them liars or conspiracy theorists. And honestly, these conspiracy theorists are the only ones telling the truth anymore. They are. I'm just sick of the cover-ups. I'm sick of the lies. And I wish other people were sick of it too. And there's a way that we can help crumble this deep state way quicker. If you all want to help, it'll only take like a second, and it's costs nothing. If you sign the petition in the description that I've got in my description box to defund and dismantle the CIA, who is basically the muscle of all these deep state institutions, all of them, they're the muscle. If we can get that signed and shared before it either gets taken down or, CIA decides to come after me or something, because they state, and I put it in there, they stated they have no trouble whatsoever taking out anyone they perceive as a threat. So yeah, I'm not suicidal, by the way. So yeah, please sign and share the petition. Please. We all need to get sick of this. And signing and sharing a petition is so easy. It's so easy and inconsequential. Please. Please. We need to stop depending on the feds, on any federal government, or any government anywhere, to usher in this golden age we all want so bad. It's up to us. It always had been. It always has been. Not them. Not them. It's up to us. The good ones outnumber the bad ones 1,000,000 to 1. I know they do. Us good ones just need to get louder. Need to take action. And that's a simple little action. You just sign it, pass it along. To whoever you want. Your family, your friends, whoever else, your fellow conspiracy theorists, whoever else you know is sick of all this crap. Please, I appreciate it. Because I know that this is going to sound crazy, but they're all connected, all of them. The deep state, the CIA, the Catholic Church, like, you insert name, like, they're all involved. They're all playing in our faces. They're like trying to overthrow humanity, basically. I don't know why, but that's like the agenda. Keep us confused, keep us divided, keep performing their sick, disgusting rituals, act like we're dumb. It's just enough. It's enough. Enough. So yeah, if you want to help, you can do that. Please sign and share the petition. Thanks for listening.